Are you thinking of moving to Prague to teach English or to study, and you want to know what Czech people are like? Well, today I'm going to try my absolute hardest not to offend anyone at all by telling you all about the Czechs. Ahoy from Prague, I'm Paul, he is Yozhin, and I've lived here in Prague for 6 years. I've met and become friends with lots of Czechs, and I've even married one. So I'm going to share with you all that I've learned about people from the Czech Republic during my time in this wonderful country. Now, of course, before we start, it's absolutely vital for me to say that there may be some sweeping generalizations, and I may say some things that Czechs might disagree with. So I invite and welcome anyone to agree or disagree with anything I say in the comments below, and hopefully we can create a broad, balanced and fair picture for anyone who is curious to learn a little about Czech people before visiting. So buckle up and get ready as we walk down the treacherous path of generalizing about all the people in a particular country. So, what do Czechs like? Czechs like tradition, and in particular festivals like Easter, where the men physically whip the women, and Christmas, where there are a whole heap of traditions like Christmas cookies and hot wine. They also enjoy their higher than average number of national holidays, particularly because, as one of my Czech friends told me, they don't have to go to work. They love the arts and are proud of their rich tradition of theatre, music and comedy, like Jara Zimmerman, a Czech icon who doesn't even exist. They like their traditional food and dishes, particularly the meaty ones. The menus in any Czech restaurant will be pretty much identical: svíčková, goulash, koleno, and the only vegetarian option on the menu, smažený sír, which is fried cheese. They also like to bake, and every autumn hundreds of Czechs can be found wandering the forest searching for wild mushrooms. Of course, they love beer and are regularly top of annual global studies of beer consumption per capita. But they're also very proud of the wines that are made in the south of the country, in Moravia, and of Slivovice, which is an outrageously strong plum liquor. So of course, alongside their love of beer, wine and Slivovice, they love going to the pub and sometimes having quite intense discussions there. They are very proud of their truly fascinating history and of historical figures like President Tomáš Garrigue Masaryk and Václav Havel. Czechs love nature, and many families have cottages that they visit at every opportunity during the summer. And speaking of summer, as soon as it arrives, they love to barbecue, while in winter they enjoy cross-country skiing and downhill skiing in their own mountains or in neighbouring Austria. For summer holidays, lots of Czechs go to Croatia to swim in the sea because, lest you forget, the Czech Republic is a landlocked country. The Czech Republic is a dog-mad country too. I read a study that 1 in 10 Czechs owns a dog, but I think it's actually probably more. Czechs love ice hockey and football. These are the two most popular sports, and they have an admirable history in both, most famously winning the hockey gold at the Nagano Winter Olympics in 1998. They celebrate name days. This is great because it's like a second birthday. Every Czech name has a day that corresponds to a day in the calendar year, and they will often buy flowers or small gifts for each other on those days. Some Czechs, not many, but just enough to make it worthy of comment, like to fully reenact medieval life in the Czech countryside. It's basically role-playing in full costume for whole weekends at a time. I've even seen one guy in full medieval costume carrying a real sword on his way to an event such as this on the Prague metro. Czechs take their shoes off whenever they enter someone's home, and they really appreciate it when visiting foreigners learn a little of their language. So that's what they like. What have I missed? Please let me know in the comments. Now, what do Czechs dislike? Well, despite the abundance of churches and cathedrals in Prague in particular, this is one of the most atheist countries in the world. Spicy food! They'll say they like it, but they don't. My wife says that Czech spicy means a tiny bit spicy or not spicy at all. Having said that, the Czech violinist in the band I play in genuinely loves spicy food. So as we are all fully aware going through this video, there are always exceptions to the rule. Czechs can be quite wary of things they don't know. Czechs don't like it when tourists make no effort to learn Czech, call the Czech Republic Czechoslovakia, or to be told that their country is in Eastern Europe. it's Central Europe, and it hasn't been Czechoslovakia for over a quarter of a century. And there are some very sensitive topics like politics, which can be very hotly debated, especially in pubs. How are we doing? Have I offended anyone enormously? Have I offended you, Yojin? No? Good. What are Czechs great at? Making beer, of course, and culture, the abundance of music, of films, of theatre, their sense of humour, which can be very dark and is often based on laughing at themselves. Their unemployment rates are unbelievably low, and the economy is one of the fastest growing in Europe. They have a rich tradition of fairy tales and puppetry, and they have a fantastic public transport system across the whole country, which for me, coming from the UK, is an absolute breath of fresh air. They are great at biathlon and at women's tennis. Their university education is completely free, and instead of celebrating Halloween with candy, they visit the graves of relatives and lay flowers. And perhaps most importantly, and what has been so nice for me, is that they are extremely hospitable people. They might seem a little distant at first, but when you get to know them, they very quickly reveal themselves to be welcoming, warm, and kind. And it's a hospitality that isn't forced. It feels completely natural and instinctive to them. So, what are the Czechs bad at? Marriage! They have one of the highest divorce rates in the world. Why is this? I don't know. Czechs, let me know your theories in the comments below. The Czech diet probably isn't the healthiest in the world. Men's fashion. Yes, I've seen it, and I've seen it a lot. Socks in sandals, in offices, in the post office, pretty much anywhere. And finally, motorways. In contrast to the great public transport network, take a look at the motorways on Google Maps and compare them to their neighbouring countries. The D1 in particular, which is a road between Prague and the second biggest city, Brno, is still unfinished after years and years of work. Was that bit okay? Was it fair? Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments, but no death threats, please. Finally, my own personal observations. Aside from one slightly grumpy young woman working in the post office who I probably caught on a bad day, I have not once been on the end of any act of aggression or hostility since I've lived here. I've been warmly welcomed and received everywhere I've gone. Yes, I'm foreign, and in some ex-communist countries it's common for people to trust foreigners more than their own neighbour. I also speak some Czech, which almost always automatically endears you to the locals too. I can only base my opinion on what I have experienced, and that is that the Czechs are a peaceful, kind, friendly, cautiously curious, and incredibly hospitable people. So there we go, we've made it to the end. I really hope I haven't insulted anyone, and like I've said throughout this video, these are just generalizations. There are, of course, always exceptions to the rule, and that's why I really welcome some healthy, positive discussion in the comments below to help people who may be about to head to the Czech Republic for an extended stay to get some idea of what Czech people in general are like. Please do like and subscribe, and from Yojin and from me, toot toot!